Good day. This is Sedlow, and today we are in the DCS mission editor. This video may end up becoming a series of videos. I'm not sure. See where it goes. But I do get a lot of people asking me, where do you get your ideas for your missions? Where do you come up with the radio comms that make your missions immersive? Um, what's your process, I guess? And I just wanted to sort of address that. Um, First of all, my opinion is if you want to make a really good, realistic DCS mission, you really need to be very interested in the topic and researched a bit and have a bit of knowledge about how things work. Um, and you know what? If you are in DCS and you want to make a mission, you're already passionate about it. So I think you've got step one covered. Um, you should I would recommend reading a lot. There's a lot of great books out there that sort of detail combat operations or authors' ideas of combat operations. But yeah, go read Red Storm Rising for a really interesting World War III scenario idea. Um, go read the Raven 1 series by Kevin Miller, a really good series of books. Read Flight of the Intruder. I'm sure most of you probably already have. But these are really good novels about aviation in general, military aviation, and it's a good sort of bedrock to sort of get an idea of what things are. There's a lot of memoirs coming out from the Gulf War, the Second Gulf War, um, and now, even some things about Syria. So gobble up as much books as you can. The other side of that is podcasts. There's so many podcasts out there with interviews from people who are actually out there and doing it. Some are, sort of gloss over the basics, and that's fine too. You get a good idea of the basic idea of what's going on. Some of them go really in deep, and I would recommend have a listen through the 10% True podcast library. There are some fascinating interviews from military air crew um, going back to the Vietnam area, the Falklands, um, you know, Cold War, 1980s type thing, the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War, and operations over Syria. So, the Operation Inherent Resolve mission I recently released, I relied on a lot of information from the 10% True podcast, just listening to it. Have a listen to the interviews from Stinger. Those were really interesting, fascinating stuff. Just absorb as much as you can. And I think that's a good idea. So, all right, you've absorbed your ideas. You kind of have an idea of what you want to do. Plot it out, write it out on a notepad thing, just the basic what you want it to be. Do you want it to be a air-to-air type thing? Do you want a defensive cap, a fighter sweep, seed, or on-call casts? I chose on-call casts and sort of based it on a lot of things, but yeah, I had an idea of what I wanted to do. So I really like radio conversations. I try to make the radio comms as realistic as I can because I think that is a way to really get an immersive mission. And I think you might want to do that too. Um, if you're not familiar with radio comms and you don't know really how they sound, a couple things I would recommend. Go to the Live ATC website or app and have a listen to your local airport and get an idea of how civilian comms work. Air traffic control is the same for military, mostly. So civilian people controlling military aircraft, that's good stuff. Soak it up. Get an idea of the terminology and the phraseology and how things work, the cadence of things, and that'll help. There's a couple really good YouTube channels which detail military comms. The one I really like is PDGLS. He's got so much from the NTTR and various military comms throughout the Southwest United States. Have a listen to that stuff. It's really cool and give you an idea of how to write out your stuff. All right, so my process, I pick a map, I pick an aircraft, and I start from there. I've got an idea, say with the Syria OIR mission, I wanted it to launch from an airbase. The airbase, the big airbase that the people used, or the US used in Jordan, isn't modeled on the Syria map, but so I used King Hussein Military College as a stand-in, which is fine. And then I sort of wrote the dialogue in Excel. Yeah, Excel. The spreadsheet's really cool. It's a good way to keep your data organized. And I actually just started writing in Excel, and I write the radio comms first. So here's an example of the Excel file for OIR. I've got one column here for the file name. This is what it's going to be called. And then in the role and the line. So, forward 5-1 is going to say forward check, and number 2 is going to go 2, and then forward 5-1 will check in with earbud, and blah, 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 blah. So this block of conversations is one file. Second block of conversations is the second one, and it's just forward 5-1 going on, blah, 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 blah. Write out your radio dialogues and an idea of how you want your mission to go. That was sort of my first step. That's what I did. Cool thing about Excel is that you just cut and paste it into the mission editor when it's time to do it. So yeah, the first thing I do when I get into the mission editor, I make a trigger on start, and I'm going to call it mission start trigger. You don't put any conditions in that. This is just when the mission starts, this is what happens. And what I do is I set a flag. And where is it here? You'll have to excuse me. My brain is just not on today. But yeah, flag 1. This is the start of everything. And this is where you will be spending a lot of time. Okay, that's it for me for now. I'll probably make a part 2 of this in time, and I hope you're all well. Take care.